They drag him out of bed at 4:17 a.m., red and blue lights flashing through the blinds, neighbors peeking out of windows. The same chief who once pinned the metal to his chest now stood on his porch, smirking, as handcuffs clicked around his wrists. Samuel Davis, the lead agent, said, "You're under arrest for obstruction of justice, conspiracy, and murder." The chief's jaw tightened. He didn't ask why, because deep down, he already knew. And it all began the night he fired Officer Darnell Brooks. Why would a police chief destroy one of his own officers? What secret was Darnell about to expose? The one that sent the entire department into chaos. And how did the same chief who swore to protect justice end up hunted by the FBI? Darnell Brooks wasn't a quiet man, but he was a good one. 5 years on the force. Clean record. The kind of cop kids waved from school buses. He worked the South Precinct, the neighborhood nobody wanted to patrol. But Darnell volunteered every time. He knew every face, every alley, every kid hustling on corners just trying to eat. He didn't see criminals. He saw people the city forgot. That was his strength and his curse. Because when you start seeing what others ignore, you start noticing things you're not supposed to. Like the missing drug evidence that never made it to the locker, or the confidential informant who kept disappearing from reports, or the strange, unmarked SUVs that followed raids and left before paperwork was filed. It didn't take long before Darnell started connecting dots, and every arrow pointed to one name, Chief Samuel Davis. It started with a whisper. A rookie officer, shaking hands, told Darnell he'd been ordered to log fake overtime hours, money funneled into something called the Community Advancement Fund. But when Darnell checked city ledgers, that fund didn't exist. At least, not on paper. He brought it up quietly at roll call. The room went cold. A sergeant coughed. No one looked up. Later that night, someone slipped a note under his locker door. "Drop it, or you'll drop dead." Darnell laughed at first, until he saw the same words scratched into his car windshield the next morning. The chief called him into his office 2 days later. Late night. No witnesses. The blinds were drawn. The smell of whiskey hung in the air. "Darnell," the chief said, pretending to smile, "you're a good cop, smart, but you don't know when to shut up." "I took an oath," Darnell said. "Same as you. That oath doesn't mean running your mouth about things you don't understand." "Then help me understand," Darnell shot back. "Where's the money going?" The chief stood slowly, knuckles tightening. He walked around the desk, close enough that Darnell could smell the bourbon. "You think this city survives on good intentions," he whispered. "You think people like us get ahead by playing by the book? You're still living in a fantasy, son." Darnell didn't flinch. Then maybe it's time someone rewrote the book. That night, the chief signed his termination papers. Publicly, loudly, Officer Darnell Brooks is hereby dismissed for insubordination and misconduct. The department applauded. The cameras flashed. The chief smiled. But behind those smiles, he was already afraid. Because Darnell didn't leave empty-handed. He'd copied the files. 3 weeks later, a video dropped online. Shaky phone footage. Hidden camera. It showed Chief Davis handing a duffel bag to a known gang intermediary in an empty parking lot. The same gang the department had sworn to clean off the streets. The internet exploded. The mayor demanded answers. The chief called it AI deepfake propaganda. But inside the FBI cyber unit, someone noticed the metadata. The file was genuine, and it came directly from Darnell Brooks' personal email. Timestamped 2 days before he was found dead. Yes, dead. The official report called it a suicide. Gun in hand. No witnesses. But something didn't add up. No powder burns. Wrong dominant hand. And the security camera outside his apartment had been disabled exactly 13 minutes before the supposed suicide. Detective Naomi Trent, a quiet veteran with no patience for politics, didn't buy it. She reopened the case in silence. She traced the bullet. Federal issue. Police department stock. Then she traced the gun. Signed out by Chief Davis himself. When she brought her findings to Internal Affairs, they told her to stand down. Too high up, her supervisor said. Too dangerous. So she went higher. Straight to the FBI. Weeks later, The Bureau moved quietly. Warrants sealed. Computers seized. Bank accounts frozen. One by one, the chief's allies turned on him. His deputy chief took immunity. A clerk confessed to shredding evidence. A contractor leaked audio of the chief negotiating drug route protection. And every thread led back to the same man he destroyed. The officer he'd mocked. The one who'd refused to stay silent. When the FBI finally came for him, the chief didn't resist. He just stared at the floor as agents marched him past his wife and son. His badge clattered on the tiles, a sound heavier than any verdict. Reporters shouted questions. Did you kill him? Did you steal the money? Did you know the FBI was watching? He didn't answer, because deep down, he knew Darnell had beat him long before that morning. Darnell didn't need a badge to bring justice. He only needed courage. And the truth, which never dies quietly. Months later, Detective Trent stood at Darnell's grave. The city was quiet. The department ashamed. A plaque bore his name now. Officer Darnell Brooks, fired for integrity, remembered for truth. She placed a folded note at the base. Inside it, a single line from his final email to the Bureau. If anything happens to me, tell them I didn't go down scathed. I went down fighting. The chief was sentenced to life. But every officer in that courtroom felt the same chill, because they all knew the real punishment wasn't cell. It was the silence after, the silence that reminded them when truth becomes a threat, justice becomes revenge. And the badge, without integrity, is just another weapon. They said the truth would die with him, but truth doesn't die, it waits. And when the FBI stormed the chief's mansion before dawn, every secret Darnell tried to expose finally came crawling into the light. The same man who laughed at him now stood in cuffs, surrounded by flashing lights and questions he couldn't escape. And somewhere, in every honest cop still wearing a badge, a voice whispered his name. Darnell Brooks, the man they silenced so the truth could speak louder. Justice doesn't always come fast, but when it comes, it burns through lies like fire through paper. If stories like this shake you, if they make you feel something, don't just scroll away. Subscribe now, because more truths like this deserve to be told. Stay watching, stay aware, and never forget, the darkest secrets always find the light. Subscribe, and join the story before the next one breaks.